Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
We're going to get right into what it looks like to set up an intraday account, what intraday mode is in comparison to the precision modes, which make GearBox so special. But we are going to talk about what intraday mode is and why people like intraday mode. So with that being said, I'm just going to get right on into it. So the first thing is there are two intraday strategies. You have what's known as instant entry, right? And you have what's known as skip a level. So these are two totally different strategies that make up what we would call the intraday modes of GearBox. So we have precision modes inside of GearBox, which for those of you who remember, these are the precision modes, right? These are the entries for where precision modes would actually take their first entry on GearBox. Whereas our intraday modes, we're going to be trading way less pairs. This list right here is of 24 pairs, but we're not trading all 24 pairs. When we go to intraday modes, we're trading 3 to 6 pairs, and you either have instant entry, which is going to enter right here in gear 0, or you have skip a level, which is going to enter right here in gear 1. Now, there are pairs that you don't want to enter on such early entries. I'll give you an example. Some of the best performing pairs you would never want to run intraday modes on because they'll completely destroy you. And I'll give you an example, GBP NZD. You would just never use intraday mode on GBP NZD. Unless you have a death wish. You're not going to do that. So when it comes to it, you're going to want to stick with intraday modes to ranging pairs that tend to not trend as much. They tend to respect a solid range. And these are the 6 pairs that we've chosen for the intraday modes that you can see right here. So we have Euro USD, we have Euro JPY, NZD CHF, USD CAD, CAD CHF, and AUD NZD. Now you may be asking, why did we come up with those pairs? Why do those pairs work? Why do these pairs make this product as spectacular as it is with intraday modes? And the truth is these pairs just tend to not have massive ranging movements most of the time, or massive trending movements. I mean, they tend to be very ranging and not have a high average daily range, and they tend to respect counter trend strategies very well. Now, when you're using instant entry, please note that if you only have $1,000, you should only use 1 pair. If you have $2,000, you should only use 2 pairs. If you have $3,000, you should only use 3 pairs in instant entry. Now, if you're using skip a level, you can add all 6 pairs, but you're going to put 3 max pairs trading at the same time in your GearBox settings, right? And you're going to want to stick to a 0.01 per 3K balance for your lot size. Whereas in precision mode, many people are running a 0.01 per 1K or 0.01 per 2K. And that makes sense again in precision mode because in instant entry and intraday modes, you're entering right here. So intraday modes, you're entering here. Whereas precision modes, you're entering here. So you can afford a little bit of a larger lot size because you're skipping potentially bad trades when you do that. But also these could potentially be great trades that you're missing profits on too, which is why we created intraday mode. So let's get into actually setting up an actual account that's running our intraday strategy. So first thing is we're going to go ahead and just go type in the pairs. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set this one up to look just like instant entry. Oops, don't want to use the mini one. And I'm just going to walk through what it looks like to set this up with you guys right now. And please remember, if you're brand new or you're here and you're watching this video and you do not already have a precision mode GearBox running, please have a precision mode running. Intraday modes are really meant to be used as a separate license for people that maybe precision mode is just kind of boring, you know, and you're not getting as many trades as you want some weeks. Well, that's why it's great to have a second license and come over here to your intraday mode and be able to also have this as a second license to get some profit. Well, maybe precision's a little boring. And then you're going to see we're adding the gold chart here. We're not running GearBox on gold. We're running the GearBox manager on gold. I do see that I don't have GearBox actually in this window. So give me a second. I'm going to get GearBox in window 3 here. And you might ask how I'm doing that, but you can't do that. Sync EAs. And we're going to get GearBox back in that window because that one had Neo, but no worries. It'll just take a second and it will sync us up. EAs changed successfully. And boom. All right. That actually should work beautifully. Give it a second here and it's going to reopen that terminal. And terminal 3 just reopened. And it should have GearBox now. Perfect. Now we got GearBox. There we go. Oops. Every crash, give it a second and I'll reopen it again. In the meantime, yes, this is my GBP GearBox, still running in the same trades that have been open for 20 days now on GBP CAD, but it was a beautiful trade setup. And this is some of the patience and precision mode where we're sitting right here is look at this. I took this trade here, ended up in another level. I mean, look at that take profit we're running for. That is a large chunk of pips right there. We are really running for a large movement. That one trade alone, that GBP CAD trade alone is probably going to run for $300 profit, which, is incredible to kind of see the kind of returns in 2 trades you can get on a precision mode there. But let's go back into intraday and we have our account now. We now have GearBox pulled up. So I'm just going to go ahead and chart windows. The first thing you're going to want to do is obviously make sure you open your first GearBox and validate it. So you're going to just, obviously go ahead and drag it on the chart and make sure you go to your common box, hit OK. If it asks you to validate, you'll validate. I don't think it's going to ask me to validate. I probably need to close some other terminals because I got a lot going on here. Let's close Arrow out. And we'll close this GearBox out for right now. When you got too much going on, there we go. Yep. Start closing things out and things work better. All right. So you got your first GearBox open. We didn't need to validate, but we do want to put this on the daily time frame. Now we're going to open up the rest of the charts here. So we're going to go ahead and open up EJ, NZDCHF, USD CAD, CAD CHF, AUD NZD, and gold. Now, let's go make sure all these are on the daily time frame. And this is again going to be setting up skip a level. So now we're setting up the skip a level strategy. Put all these on the daily time frame. Now we're going to take our GearBox manager. We're going to go right over here to gold. We're going to drag the GearBox manager on. And then you're going to go into your parameters here, GearBox manager. So you're going to need to modify your lot size based on how much capital you have. So what I tell anybody is anytime you go over 25K, you should even go more conservative than the rule of thumb. So like this is a 100K demo, and typically the rule of thumb is 0.01 per 5K. Well, if you're playing with 25K or more, theoretically 0.01 per 5K makes more sense. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is this 100K demo. We're just going to put a 0.5 here. All right, because that's 100,000. All right, and then we're looking at a 0.01 per 5,000. So if you divide 100,000 by 5,000, you're going to get your number that you're going to multiply 0.01 by, and that's how you get your lot size. Now, once you have your lot size deployed, you're going to go look and see if there's any other risk settings you want to change, such as your balance protection or first notifications of drawdown. So what these are is at 10% drawdown, you're going to get a notification. At 20% drawdown, you're going to get a notification. At 25% drawdown, it is going to stop taking new trades. It will not close your trades, but it will stop taking any new trades. And then maybe you want to adjust your stop loss. If you're a trader, you could do that. Keep it higher. I know 500 seems pretty high, but you don't want to really go less than 250 unless you're okay with taking some losses every once in a while. And other than that, if you are just okay with trusting the normal default settings, you're just going to go like this, and then you're going to go ahead and apply your strategy. So in this case, I'm going to apply skip a level, and I just went like this. And now skip a level is going to apply to every chart just like that. And now we have skip a level applied and it is trading. Just like that, we have set it up. Now, let's say you wanted to go back down to the instant entry strategy. Okay, well, you're going to eliminate 3 of these pairs. So at this point, you would want to choose which pairs do you not want to trade, right? And you can make this decision a few different ways. You could just randomly make the decision. You could use data and correlation data to determine which pairs are the least correlated of these. Now, keep in mind that correlation data does change constantly, meaning that 2 of these pairs could not be correlated whatsoever today. And 1 month from now, they could be fully correlated. But you can make those decisions however you so choose to. In this case, I'm just going to go delete EJ. Maybe CAD CHF, and see, this is the random side of me. But you might be asking, why did you choose those 3, Tyler? And I have some data and some experience with these pairs running the instant entry strategy, and they've performed fairly well throughout time. So now I would just go and click instant entry, and just like that, now we're running instant entry strategy, which what you'll end up seeing instant entry do is, before we leave this call, you're going to see instant entry is going to take a trade on this demo account here. Might take a minute to get the trade going because the manager's in master mode, which what master mode does is it still does a little bit of some analyzations and really picks everything up together, and takes a few minutes once you apply your strategy before it actually starts taking its trades. Which is another brilliant thing, right? It's not just, just dragging on a chart, it fires that trade off immediately, even though it is doing essentially the same thing. It does a little bit different. Then you might be asking, how do you determine risk, right? Well, when it comes to risk, you're going to want to use your calculator. So if I was to go in here and put start gear 0, so we're using skip a level, we're entering on 1 here. And then let's say my balance, let's just say this is 10,000 euro, we're running 0.03. All right, what is your risk? Well, on a larger account, it's really not a lot. To get into 60% drawdown, the 3 pairs you choose would all have to go 601 pips against you at the same exact time. Now, on a smaller account, it's very easy. Intraday modes really aren't designed for small accounts. Precision mode is really the best mode for smaller accounts. I'd say anything under 5 grand. Because when you just don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of skin in the game, to get into 75% drawdown on $1,000 account, it's only going to take all 3 pairs going 303 pips against you at the same time, which is highly likely, and that would put you in a 75% drawdown, close to margin calling already, just on $1,000 account if 3 pairs went against you. So maybe when you have less than 1,000, you should trade 1 to 2 max pairs at a single time, and a $500 balance, 1 max pair at the same time. But let's even take a look at that. Even if you only had 500, all right, your account is still in 75% drawdown at 200 pips against you. Well, that's on 1 pair, you'd be in 23%. If you had 3 pairs, which you're not going to have on a 500, but let's say blowing that 500 account would only take 430 pips on the 1 pair you chose. So again, remember, with skip a level or intraday modes, your risk is much higher on smaller accounts than it is large. And on precision mode, smaller accounts really perform the best, and larger accounts perform very well too. But if you had larger capital and you had more risk and exposure to the market, intraday modes is also a great solution with low risk, as you can see based on the calculator. Now, again, this is a calculator that is publicly available and something you can use to determine risk settings for yourself and how you want to manage your account. Now let's see why. Or is we still on skip a level? I might not have applied. Nope, it's an intraday. It just takes a few minutes once you're an instant entry. The manager basically is running all the commands. So you can also not use master mode. Master mode is something that the reason I use it is it actually makes GearBox run more efficiently and faster. Basically, you're using manager as master. So the manager, basically what this means is the manager is controlling all these gearboxes. It's actually executing the commands. Now, when you're only running 3 pairs or 3 charts, you don't really need master mode, and your trades will enter quicker when you first start because the manager takes a little. So what I mean by that is, let's say I click no on has master right now, it immediately took the trade. See, where it would have taken that trade, it would have just taken probably another 5 minutes for the manager to fully kick in and start executing the trades by just turning it off, the manager master off, and turning it off here. It immediately took the trade. So another fun fact about master mode, but remember, master mode is needed when you're running more than 3 pairs for sure. But if you're only doing instant entry strategy, you don't really need master mode. You can turn it off and it'll instant entry, just like you think. So let's get into the upcoming week ahead and how the news looks. So you can see that we have some NZD news regarding policy statements, rate statements, press conferences, official cash rate, mainly just NZD this week. So what would my advice be for anybody NZD? I would say NZD pairs, you could not trade them. You can eliminate them. You could trade them. Really, precision modes are going to like them hopefully this week because red folder news typically means entries for precision modes. But weeks where there's not a lot of red folder news also means that it's a great week for intraday mode typically because the markets tend to range more when there's not a lot of news. But with that being said, does anyone have any questions for me about intraday modes, intraday setups, instant entry, or the skip a level strategy? Otherwise, I look forward to seeing many of you on the precision call tomorrow. We always get in every Friday into the precision calls, and it's a lot of excitement, a lot of value is always brought to those calls. And then the intraday calls are always a smaller knit group, of people that they have second licenses. They are more experimental. They know how to play with their trades more. They maybe understand trading a little bit more. But like I said, with that being said, I look forward to seeing you all on our precision call on Friday, as always. I see a question came in here. Nicolaj says, how can I backtest GearBox? So Nicolaj, because GearBox has ghost gears, meaning that it actually trades behind the scenes in a notepad, it is actually not currently backtestable. So there's no way to backtest GearBox because of that. You have to run through forward testing and then simulation data. So we've been building a simulator behind the scenes that we're continuing to advance to get to a retail market soon so that you guys have it. But we have our own tools and ways that we run our historical data testing on GearBox, and it's been incredible. But yeah, through the normal MT4 platform, GearBox is not backtestable. It requires many special means and methods in order to do so. But with that being said, like I said, I look forward to seeing you all on the precision call tomorrow as well. And I look forward to another amazing week of trading ahead for us. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.